Hi, and welcome to On Console, the video blog about my journey to becoming a certified NASA flight controller. Hi again, Jenny here. So, at the conclusion of segment 3 and before segment 4, there is a midterm, just like school. So I just wanted to take a quick episode to explain the types of tests and how many tests flight controllers in training go through. Let's get started. So let's go over again the difference between segments and modules. So in the Cronus technical flow, there are 8 segments total. So the segments are kind of like the overall separated topics that we have to go into. Now, with each segment, they might have 1 or 2 different modules inside of them, with the exception of segment 3, which has 3 different ones. Now, for example, segment 2 was MDM hardware and software. So the 2 modules inside segment 2 are hardware and then software. So you may have seen me tweet about all these random evaluations coming up. So in the earlier segments, each individual module has its own written test, with the overall segment evaluation being a practical done in our simulation rooms. So in these segment practicals, we get to do all kinds of procedures that we learned, different activities that we should know by now, and also some failures thrown in. So the midterm is kind of like a segment evaluation, but it tests every procedure and every activity we know up until that point, as well as all the failures up until the point, and lasts about 4 hours. So now that I'm on the other side of the midterm, I can tell you guys a little bit more about how it went. So, going into the midterm, I was definitely a little bit terrified about what was going to come, but I got a lot more comfortable once I kind of got into the hang of how things were going. So, every practical, before we ever touch the simulation, starts out with some technical questions. So, the evaluator just orally asks us things about the material that we've learned, and we answer. So, it can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes, though, because sometimes the evaluators like to play mind games with you. What are the Tier 1 MDMs? Tier 1 is made up of the CNC MDM. Are you sure? Yes. So after those questions, we jumped into the scenarios. So as far as the scenarios go, I felt really prepared because our mentors had run us through all kinds of different procedures and different failures. So when the things did come up during my midterm, I felt like I handled it well. The only hard part, I think, was making sure my calls to flight and to other disciplines were concise and had enough information to get across without rambling a bunch. So the scenarios weren't too bad, talking to people maybe was. So I did pass my midterm with a couple of lookups. So lookups are things I answered incorrectly during the test or unclearly, and also the 8 questions that I said, I don't know, I'll find out later and get back to you. So aside from the lookups, I also got some feedback and critique from my evaluator and my mentors. So basically the biggest thing I need to work on is confidence and showing that to the team. So there's a difference, between calling flight and saying, oh, well, I think this is what failed, and these are the impact, and this is going to happen, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. Versus saying, this is what failed, these are the impacts, and this is how I'm going to work around it. Now, for me, I definitely doubt myself sometimes, so I need to work more on knowing that I know the stuff and that I've studied it well, and also making sure that other people can see that I'm confident in what I'm saying, so that they can trust that I know what I'm doing. So I just wanted to take a quick second to answer some questions that I've gotten on Twitter over the past few weeks. So the first one is, do you use grants to fund your schooling? So if you mean grants in reference to scholarships, then yes, I did earn some scholarships towards my tuition directly from The Ohio State University, as well as from some women in engineering organizations. As far as my co-op down here at NASA Johnson Space Center, my salary was considered an income rather than a grant, though I know that there are some internships here that are funded using grants. So the second question was, are the MDMs upgradable, or are they too integrated into the existing systems to be brought up to date? So the MDMs are upgradable, and they have been upgraded before. If you remember the episode I talked about the standard, enhanced, and epic MDMs, the most recognizable epic one is the CNC, right? The one that's completely in control of the computer system. So the CNC used to be an enhanced MDM, that we upgraded with an Epic card and some other things to improve the memory and the hard drive and some other aspects of the MDM. I think that I'd have to check. I believe that all the Epic MDMs now used to be enhanced MDMs that were upgraded. And in the future, we might take a few more of those enhanced MDMs and upgrade them to Epic. That's all for this episode. Be sure to check out my other sites and pages and take a look at the first or previous episodes if you haven't already. Well, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week and for many more as we get one step closer to being on console. Next episode brings the beginning of the second half of my technical flow, as well as becoming one step closer to my mini-sims, which is where I'll actually be simulating with flight controllers and training from the other core disciplines. I can't wait! See you then!